know a large part of my audience is primarily here for OP10, but there is a portion of my audience that is out on the side of the world that is playing OP11. So what I wanted to do was take a moment to go through some of the cards that have come out in blue for OP11 for Nami support. Now, it's not this Nami, it's going to be OP03 Nami, but I also did want to highlight this Nami and just at the beginning of the video, let y'all kind of let me know if you want to see some gameplay with this. Just know that I wholeheartedly suck with every other deck outside of OP03 Nami. I could probably on average knock y'all socks off with a little bit of mill, but when it comes to traditional OPTCG, I may struggle a bit. So if y'all want to see me struggle with the deck list like this, then sure, go ahead. A leader that has almost near permanent plus 2k during their turn every turn seems pretty powerful. A lot of people are playing it. It seems pretty good against OP3 Nami, but regardless, just let me know if you want to see it. But let's go through the cards themselves. There's not too much in terms of support, but there are some interesting cards to look out for in the future, and ones that I definitely want to be trying. So firstly, we got like some fire tank support and stuff. Like this isn't really going to be an archetype that we're looking at currently right now. Definitely like a multicolor thing, just not for us. This card is probably the most interesting card out of most from this set. Vinsmoke Ichiji, 7 cost, 7k power Vinsmoke family, Germa 6/6 character with blocker on opponent's attack once per turn. If you only have characters that have a type including Germa in play, then you may activate this effect. Now, can be pretty hard if you play out a Kaya, if you play out an Apis, maybe you need to reduce cards in hand for something like a Pudding, being aware of that, or you're even like messing around with a Nami. This effect doesn't work. But the payoff is that if it is the only card in play and when your opponent attacks, up to one of your leaders or characters get plus 1k during this battle, then you trash the top 2 cards of your deck. So pretty powerful. In other archetypes, you get to feed your graveyard or feed something in that way. So it makes sense for the Germa archetype. But for us Nami players, you get a free 1k counter as well as a blocker, and then a card that gets to trash the top 2 cards of your deck. This is comparable most to 7-cost Crocodile. The reason I don't like 7-cost Crocodile is there is still a fair amount of like 2-cost events that you don't get to reduce. You don't get to reduce characters. They still like, not that you need to, but they like pretty much just become counters. It's not like you get any bonus for that. And then peel off and stuff. The turn that you immediately play Crocodile, let's say for example on 8, you attach a Dawn to it to reduce everything. Your 1-cost events cost less, but it feels like if it gets removed, you almost did nothing. Still here with this Vinsmoke Ichiji, if it gets removed, you do nothing. But then when it comes to Crocodile, if it's able to just go through, you get free events. You don't get any bonus with it. What I like about Ichiji is that with this restriction, you do get a blocker, which is nice. And then you also get that free 1k counter in trash too. So it's like a workaround like Zeph. It's also that similar idea of like someone actually put it really well in my previous video with Cavendish, where like if Nami has the ability in a metagame to spend 4 Dawn on like Cavendish, the metagame is so slow, we should just be playing something else anyway. So if it comes to the point where like Nami can like reasonably play out 7-cost Crocodile or 7-cost Ichiji, honestly, I would honestly probably rather be playing Zeph. I'm not gonna lie, right? And look, I got myself some Altard Zephs. I'm waiting for the moment where I can pull those suckers out again. So this is probably the most playable card out of most that we have available for us in OP11. There's some other Germa support as well, which is kind of nice. We got some blue Germa support, not just purple. But you may trash 1 card from your hand. All your Germa 6/6 characters get plus 1k during this turn. That's on your main. It's not a counter effect. You get a 2k generic Germa. You have a blocker Germa. And then this card cannot be KO'd or arrested by your opponent's effects if you only have Germa characters. If your leader is Vinsmoke family, you get a searcher at 4 costs. Now this one, they balance the crap out of this because there's actually a lot of potential when it comes to something like this. So if they made it properly, in my opinion, 1 cost 2k power, 1k counter character, you got the Capone. On play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal a 1 fire tank character or a straw hat character card type with a cost of 2 or more. 2 or more, folks. They balance the living bejesus out of this, folks. We could have gotten something like where is it? We could have gotten like this 8-cost Monkey D Luffy. We could have gotten this, but then if this didn't have that 2-cost restriction, we could have gotten something like Gum Gum King Cobra, which if you have 4 less cards in your hand, you get 4k. If you have more than that, like 5 or more cards, you just get 2k. Pretty flexible in the late game. Unfortunately, it doesn't draw cards or trash cards, but it's like a pretty cool counter. But then in the deck itself, you already have Gum Gum Gavel, that's Straw Hat Crew. You already have kind of Usopp's Rubber Band, that's Straw Hat Crew. If you're playing it, you have Gum Gum Rain, which has Straw Hat Crew as well. There's so many cards that already have Straw Hat Crew. This would have been such a cool searcher to enable already in that archetype. So it kind of just really sucks to see how much they balance this card, that it's not just like 1 cost or more. Because then yeah, I don't care that I'm not gonna be like able to get Gum Gum Rain, but you know why they built this like this, so Nami doesn't get this type of searcher. Unfortunately, you don't have like a lot of main abilities, like East Blue Nami isn't like for some reason this isn't Straw Hat Crew. Doesn't make sense lore wise, not gonna lie. So just small things like that, but regardless. The carrot, on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, place them on the top or bottom in any order. On opponent's attack, trash this card, give up to one of your characters plus 1k. So I actually want to kind of try this card as a rearrange effect, as a soft rearrange effect. Like potentially, just because on opponent's attack, you may trash it for like a soft 1k. So it's like, it almost still has that same effect on the field. But potentially in my like 2-cost builds. So there was that meme 2-cost build where, you know, you place cards on top and you can play them if it's like 2 cost or whatever, exactly 2. So I kind of want to try this in that, because it's very different than like the other searchers, just because of the fact that like it does something on the field, whereas like you do have other rearrangers that like don't really do that. Like you have like the 3-cost like blocker Dofi and stuff like that, but it's a blocker which like can be removed. This feels like a card that like your opponent isn't really going to be using removal on, so it kind of has that like just it's kind of like uninteractable. Like it's so low cost that it's uninteractable, but something I want to try out in the future. The Gotsi, you know, trashing a fire tank type card, just not really the support we're looking for. Sanji, when this character is KO'd by an opponent's effect, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, play up to 1 character with the type Straw Hat Crew and a cost with the cost 5 or less, then place the rest of the bottom of your library at any order. The problem is when this character is KO'd, that like, yo, honestly, the amount of like trashing, the amount of like bottom decking and stuff like that actually exists, like this card can be like kind of weird, but it's on place like decent. Like it has no counter, it's 6 cost, but it says return up to 1 character with the original power of 5 or less to its owner's hand. Original power is like pretty sweet too. Like I like how that's changing in terms of some of the text that exists in removal now, with like kind of the black like cost edition and everything, so that's kind of nice. Generic fire tank here with 1k counter, generic Straw Hat Crew, which actually kind of helps. Like there's like an Usopp, that Straw Hat Crew from older, that allows you to play like a card with like no abilities that has like a power or greater. So this is something you could play that's like a 2k counter. They balanced the living crap out of this. This card would actually be really good unironically in Nami, if they didn't balance it like that. 5 cost, 6k power, 1k counter blocker. On play, if a leader has multicolor, unfortunately no OP03 Nami, draw 3 cards and place 2 cards from your hand at the top or bottom of your library. So you get to look at 3 fresh new cards. So if you take 2 bad cards, put it on top, you could keep like a gavel on top, mill those away. Or if you had like a steam bath, you could like mill those away. And then also you could put them at the bottom. And what's nice is you're kind of neutral on cards because you play out the Nami. So that kind of counteracts like one of the cards drawn, but then you still look at 3 fresh new cards, put 2 cards back on top or bottom. There's a lot of things that you could get in terms of like rearranging with this. So it's like pretty sweet when it comes to that. Bartholomew, like kind of generic Dressrosa 2k, Minx, just like I mean Pedro out of Minx, some generic Minx support, Straw Hat support. This card's really good in like the Nami decks, the blue yellow Nami deck. This is the event that I was talking about. And then Let's Crash This Wedding. If your leader is multicolor, again, balancing the living crap out of this. So this is specifically for the new Nami. They don't want it so that other Nami can play it or like other leaders can play it. So it's a little unfortunate there. If we had this as a searcher, I definitely would be looking forward to trying out Straw Hat. I definitely would be building out a Straw Hat version of this. And the last one I want to bring up is Gum Gum Jet Culverin. Main for 3 Dawn, return up to 1 of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 4 or less to the bottom of their deck, which is nice. A little bit of bottom decking in the triggers. Return up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. A trigger I like a lot less. Like I really feel like even to hand, if you just had like that 2-cost event that has like impel down type that returns 4 or less to hand, and then the triggers just activate main, like I feel like net that card is just better here. Like even if you look at like Straw Hat support, like all throughout, like this is the Usopp that I was talking about that has that generic support, but like regardless, like you don't really have too much past that. Like this is a counter reveal the top card of your deck. If you real card is like 4 or greater, return up to one of your opponent's characters, then you put the real card at the back at the bottom. Like why didn't this just allow you to play the card? Why didn't this just allow you to play the card? Then if one of your opponents were KO'd, like you could save it. Gum right now is saying like, you know, Red Rock and Thousand Worlds also in that. I never doubt a woman's tears. Like this is one of those like 2-cost support cards. This is Dressrosa, but like that's not really a leader or effect that we want to use. And then heck, even special long range attack Bagworm is Straw Hat Crew type. Draw 1 card, then return one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or lower to its owner's hand. Not the most like flexible thing. Like what are you returning, like a brand new? So there aren't too many things that you're returning with this, but it's like 3 down draw card. I don't know, like it's not exactly Margaret. Regardless, like the Straw Hat support and support in general when it comes to OP11 is just like kind of lacking for Nami, and that's like completely fine. I think like in general Nami's kit is still really powerful. The fact that we have 1-cost Nami is still really powerful, whether it be with Boodle or Gloriosa. I think there's a lot of success still to be had. It just doesn't seem like OP11 has a lot to offer us. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. This is just my video going over a quick review of cards that currently exist in this new metagame. I don't think our list will be changing too much, maybe some adaptations based on like the current card pool, but again it seems like 90% of the Nami decks are going to be the same in OP10. It's going to be very similar in OP11. I don't think there's going to be much of a change in this new metagame.